whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people.
Whose car are we gonna take?
Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the Nikki Medoro Show on this, daylight saving time hatred day. A lot of people hate it. Some people love it.
Yes, it's 9:02. So if you didn't turn it back, then
what have you been doing all day yesterday, Harry?
Right.
I love your post. I don't know if you were making a joke. It's like, are we having a show today? And then he's like, oh, daylight saving time. What were you doing yesterday? Did you not check the clock? I have not changed all of my clocks back. My oven, my microwave. We lost power overnight, apparently, because all my clocks were flashing overnight. So that probably didn't help. But I still get my time from my cell phone, and it does it automatically. So It was really, really funny. But yeah, darker earlier, lighter later. I took my eye mask off this morning, Kim, when I woke up, and I'm like, oh my God, it's bright in this room. So some people love it. Some people hate it. It is what it is. Yes, we voted. We mentioned this on Friday. The House never took up the bill to permanently change our clocks to just one setting. I don't care what it is, in all honesty. Just keep it the same. Can we just do that? That's my vote. All right, you guys. We have a great show coming up. In about a half hour or so, we are going to be joined by Alexandrea Ravenelle. She's an assistant professor of sociology at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. She's out with a new book. Her new book is called Hustle and Gig, Struggling and Surviving in the Sharing Economy, and kind of talking about so many people are part of this gig culture, right? Independent contractors or whatever, all across the country. But is the safety net there, right? Like, when you are hired by someone, are people setting up 401ks? Is the government doing the same for gig workers as they are for traditional workers? And so we'll get into that. Now, she had come out with a book a few years ago, and that book was called Hustle and Gig, Struggling and Survive. Oh, no, that's this one. Yeah, Hustle and Gig. This one is, sorry. This is Side Hustle Safety Net is the one we're going to talk about. Hustle and Gig was about actually working in the gig economy. I got those mixed up. So her first book, Hustle and Gig, the new book, Side Hustle Safety Net, and that's about the safety net for these independent contractors.
Well, that's kind of us too, isn't it?
Yes, I would say yes, it is, but it's not. I don't know. I was thinking about the same thing. I think this is a side hustle for us, right? But I mean, this is the number one gig.
Right. This is my job.
Yeah, we'll ask Alexandrea, kind of the difference in that. It's not like you're working for a TaskRabbit or DoorDash or something like that.
It's not like I work for a company like we used to where there were benefits or holidays or 401ks or anything like that. There's nothing.
But you could set that up. And that's what I want to talk to her about, the Side Hustle Safety Net. Her newest book is what can independent contractors, people like us, people that don't necessarily work for the traditional corporate world, do to give themselves a safety net? And does it pay off for them the same as it does? Or is it as easy? Harry, thank you so much for the $5 donation. Happy Monday. Your brother lives in the right time zone. Yes, he does. He never changes his clock. My brother lives in Arizona. I could be wrong. I feel like there's a part of Arizona that changes it. It's weird in Arizona, I feel like, but maybe it's all of Arizona. But yeah, changing the clocks is stupid. Absolutely stupid. If there's anybody that does do a side hustle, I'd love for you to let me know in the comments if you have any questions for Alexandrea. Spencer, a lot of the gig economy is exploitative. Yes, it is. And that's what she'll also talk about in her first book. Again, her first book was Hustle and Gig. The new book we're going to talk about is Side Hustle Safety Net. I was reading some experts and reviews on that book. And she was talking about how, like, I don't know if it was TaskRabbit or Thumbtack, one of those places. Somebody had been hired to do, I think, housework or work inside somebody's home. You know, they're personable, they're nice and doing whatever. And then the couple propositioned them to, like, being a threesome with him.
Well, good morning. Now we know what they really wanted.
Exactly. Don't really expect to happen, right? In a normal kind of workplace environment, although you never know. But I'm just saying, like, this is a whole new world that we live in. And, in California, our whole definition of an independent contractor and what companies have to do because of it. Obviously, those rules aren't universal across the United States. And I know some people have moved out of California and watched this show and because they can't afford it. I mean, how many jobs should you have to work to make ends meet? Natalie says, my side hustle is being a mom and I haven't gotten paid for it yet. Yeah, exactly. And I love that you brought that up, Natalie, because Kim and myself, we both know we're full-time moms, right? We do this show and Kim does the other two shows as well. And then we have a whole nother life that really takes up a lot of time and that we want to do, right? Balancing being there for other people and doing these side gigs and what have you. And then what the hell life is about, right? Being with your family, seeing your kid in a play, going on field trips, those sorts of things. Like you shouldn't have to give up what makes life worth it to make ends meet, in my opinion. And so I'm really interested in talking with Alexandrea and seeing what kind of advice she has, because I don't feel like the gig economy side hustles are going away. I really don't. And so we'll get her view on that. Obviously, we're keeping an eye on President Trump. He testified in his civil fraud trial. It went as expected. I believe it's over, right? I don't know, Kim, if you're following it too closely. I was reading some articles on how he was told to stay on topic. Of course, he's calling it a witch hunt.
He was clashing with the judge.
Yeah. So it went typically as Trump did. I do have a video I want to play you guys after Kim's news. George Stephanopoulos was interviewing Steve Scalise. They're talking about, wanting to take away the extra funding for the IRS for Ukraine or aid for Israel, blah, blah, blah. I think it was 9 times was the number I saw that George Stephanopoulos asked Steve Scalise if the election was stolen. You would think a yes or no question could get a yes or no answer, but he couldn't do it. He just could not say yes or no. The default, and you'll see this with Republicans, the default answer, if a Republican is asked if the election was stolen, is Joe Biden is president. That's what they say. We know Joe Biden is president. And it begs the question, why can you not say yes or no? Why can you not say yes or no? If you believe that the election was stolen, Republicans, say it. Say it. Go on record and say it. Or you just not want the backlash, and then that disqualifies you as a leader of this country, to be a leader for any state, to represent any state, because you do not believe in truth. You can't say, you have no backbone. You're beholden to MAGA voters. If you're so scared of the backlash, get the hell out of politics, in my opinion. So we'll play a little bit of that because it's just absolutely insane. How many of you are seeing some rain right now? I saw in the comments earlier. Somebody was. I looked outside.
Sprinkles, yeah.
Cloudy. I don't have any rain just yet. Again, our power did go out. We got some sprinkles yesterday for a little bit, but I mean, when I'm saying sprinkles, it was sprinkle. Like it was not. Eric says it's raining. Okay, good. California is 100% drought free. I saw that according to the California Drought Monitor. Roughly, this is for the first time in over 3 years, California is 100% drought free. And we are expected to receive above average rainfall for the winter season. So that's very good news, especially because usually this is fire time, right? I mean, this is the fire season. Of course, California always seems to be in fire season, which is scary and awful and everything. Eric says it rained harder last night. I guess I have to, no, maybe I should go check my car. I looked outside when the kids left for school. It didn't look that wet. Rained pretty hard in Danville, according to Donald a few minutes ago. Dumping in Auburn. Okay, well, it's up there. Spencer says my power went out yesterday. No rain in LA. My power went out overnight. And then some good rain coastside, according to Ms. Organic. So, all right, getting some rain. And we need it, right? Like I'm fine with it as long as it's not too much, too soon, causing flooding and all kinds of other problems. All right. We're going to do some headlines. I do also, before we go to Alexandria again in like about 20 minutes, we'll touch again on the Steve Scalise thing. There's also this thing called a dry promotion. You know what a dry promotion is, Kim? Like, let's break it down. A dry promotion. Anybody?
Where it comes out of the blue?
A dry promotion is you get a title raise, but not a pay raise. So you get the title.
That sucks.
But you don't get the money. Now, I'm going to ask you guys this. You guys let me know in the comments. Would you take a dry promotion simply because you could put the title on your resume and then leave?
So they want me to do more for the same amount of money. Is that what we're talking about? Yeah.
But you also get like, is there any value? That's a better question. Is there any value to the title alone? Because I know some people, it's like, I need, for instance, in our business, right? You're a producer, you're an executive producer. So now you have executive producer on your resume. You can outline all the job duties, and then you could take that information, go to another company and say, yes, I've had 2 years as an executive producer. That will then get you in the door at a better company with hopefully better pay. Is that worth it? Or are you like, hell no, if I get the title, I should get the pay, and you would turn it down? So those are the two options. You guys can let me know in the comments. And that's kind of another question that I want to ask Alexandria as well is, is there a reason so many people are moving to be their own bosses, even though sometimes you're not making the money, you're working your ass off for not that much?
This job did come with a bump. I'm now the news director for the Nikki Medoro Show. So
there you go. Exactly. You put that down on your resume.
Yeah. I could put whatever I want on my resume. I could say,
you can't leave me, but I would give you a fabulous resume.
Czar, yeah, like news czar. Yeah, I'll come up with something really good. Yeah.
Exactly. How many people have czar in their name? I mean, not that right? Many, Kim. You even have it in the little intro. Okay.
That's resume gold right there. Yeah.
I love it. All right. So you guys let me know in the comments. All right. Let's do some headlines. Again, Alexandrea Ravenelle with the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, is going to join us talking about side gigs, a safety net, how vulnerable workers survive in these precarious times. It's coming up in about 15 minutes. But first, let's take a look at news from our news czar.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Well, the Biden administration expects more humanitarian aid to flow into Gaza within days. Secretary of State Antony Blinken met with his Turkish counterpart in Ankara today to discuss efforts to expand.
Now, from around the world to
I know it's
street,
good.
The Nikki Medoro Show presents
I'll take it all.
News Czar Kim McAllister.
Bring it to me. I can't hear it enough times. Honestly, it's just the most beautiful thing. Yes, they're discussing.
I apologize, news czar. I apologize.
It's okay. Like I said, bring it all. You play it again. Hit it a third time. They're discussing efforts to expand aid to the Gaza Strip. Blinken told reporters that they also discussed preventing the war between Israel and Hamas from spreading throughout that region. That's the real fears of that happening. As Nikki mentioned, former President Trump is testifying in his historic New York civil fraud trial, accusing him and his company of committing fraud. Trump quickly drew warnings from the judge in the case for making political statements and not directly answering questions while taking the stand. Can't imagine that happening. The former president called the proceedings a very unfair trial before the court adjourned for a break. That's got to be a day in court.
It's so frustrating to have to deal with him. And the thing is, he's done this before. I mean, he has done and won, right? I mean, there has been so many over the years, decades of lawsuits, civil lawsuits against Donald Trump. He's a pro at this. So now, again, I think everyone's become
more
hip to his ways. I mean, you know what I mean?
Have you ever been in court?
Yeah.
Like where you're the defendant?
No, I mean, I haven't, but like, exactly.
No, me neither. Like, what does it say about someone that you're a pro at being a defendant because you've been sued so many times?
Right.
Lord.
And here's the thing. Maud just says, oh my God, Trump was just asked his involvement in the 2021 financial statement. He tried to answer saying he was busy with the presidency.
Busy doing what?
Exactly. Exactly.
I'm scooping up money from your Trump hotel? Okay.
2021. Yeah. Insane. But this is what I'm going to say. his children who tried to be like, I wasn't involved in that, I wasn't involved in that, then what made you qualified for any of the things you did when your father was president, right? We were constantly sold that Trump is a hands-on business person, very smart business person. His kids are involved in his business. They know all of this stuff. They're very, very smart. And now they're saying, oh, I didn't do anything. I didn't oversee anything. I just signed if you sign your name on a piece of paper, you better damn know what you're signing. That's all I have to say. And if not, you are still held accountable for it. That just seems smart to me, but whatever.
So this is happening. They were adjourned for a break, now apparently back, and it continues. Voters in key parts of the country, meanwhile, are headed back to the polls tomorrow, and it really could be a signal as to what lies ahead in the 2024 election. That's the thought. Abortion rights will be on the ballot in Ohio. Control of Virginia's legislature is up for grabs, as well as other key races. For the first time, more Americans say the death penalty is applied more unfairly than not. That's according to a new Gallup survey, which shows 50% that it was given out unfairly, compared to 47% who said it is given fairly. Last time the Gallup asked this question, only 45% said it was applied unfairly. California celebrating a huge number of advanced degrees, and one demographic is really growing. California now hosts 3 of the top 10 big cities with the highest number of Latinos with advanced degrees. Analysts from the Pew Research Center say LA, San Francisco, and Riverside all placed within the top 10. Texas is the only other state with 3 cities on the list. At the top of the list, New York. Second, Miami. Third, LA, Long Beach, Anaheim. I put them all together. Analysts tell the LA Times it makes sense as California boasts several universities, and Latino families and schools are working extra hard to recruit and graduate Latino students. Negotiators with SAG-AFTRA could have a response to the latest contract offer from the major Hollywood studios today. Last night, SAG-AFTRA leaders say they were reviewing the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers' best, last, and final offer. Yeah. Sure. Screen Actors have been on strike for 115 days.
I really hope that this happens, but I was listening to this interview today, and they were saying even if the strike ends today, let's say, they're not going to start restarting everything until probably after the holidays. So
that makes sense.
Exactly. There's still going to be a gap but there'll still be reality TV shows. These networks are prepping for it. We're just going to have a lot of crap that we're going to watch, but it is what it is.
There's movies, content. We're not.
There is so much. I mean, again, I'm still making my way, Kim.
Yeah.
Through Gilmore Girls, and Marley can always tell where I am because of who Lorelai is dating. If anybody watches it, obviously I go back and forth. I'm like, oh, we don't like this person. We like this person. We're for this. Oh, it's so funny. I still maintain the delivery is just, you got to get used to it. Cause sometimes I'm like, it's not good. It's not good. I even after so many seasons, I don't think that the actress that plays Rory, and I think this was her first role, just a side note, I know I'm going off on a tangent here. The actress that plays Rory in Gilmore Girls, I think this was her first acting gig. She won an Emmy for her role in The Handmaid's Tale, and I didn't even realize it was the same actress. She's grown a lot. I'm just going to say this because her delivery style in Gilmore Girls never really gets better. In my opinion, I just feel like anyways.
It's the style of the show too. And you'll see when they try to come back to the show and do like an updated season, it's very awkward. It's almost like they forgot how to do it. You know,
interesting.
That whole rapid fire.
Yeah. It just,
they forgot how, or it becomes awkward, or they're just out of it. So it's weird. It just didn't work. I didn't think it worked. Oh,
well, I'm still gonna have to watch it because I'm in for a penny and for a pound type of thing.
To.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Sorry. Thanks for the tangent.
Yeah. No. You know, everybody, not everybody. Okay. If you don't have these, raise your hand.
What?
You know those dinosaur-shaped chicken nuggets?
Oh, I know. I used to buy them. I don't buy them anymore.
I never bought them, and so I didn't think we had them. But the other day, I walk out into the kitchen, and
oh no,
my husband is heating some up, and the kids are eating some dinosaur nuggets. I'm like, what is happening? I get these things are everywhere. While nearly 30,000 pounds of dinosaur-shaped chicken nuggets are being recalled, over the weekend, the USDA's Food Safety and Inspection Service announced Tyson Foods issued a recall for its Fun Nuggets. The recall is specifically for the 29-ounce plastic bags. I don't know what. Yeah, don't eat the Fun
it's
Nuggets.
like Tyson makes it. Any parent that has little kids and dinosaurs.
Yeah.
I used to get them for my kids. My kids don't really like them. My concern is sometimes I'll buy those whole chicken patties. They're breaded, and I'll throw them in the air fryer, and I have like a chicken sandwich type of thing.
Yeah.
And my concern is, all right, do we really think that the machine that they're using for the Dino Bite things is different than the chicken patty one? So I kind of want to just throw out all my Tyson chicken, like if I had it, but they're only saying it's for the dinosaur. I don't know.
Elon Musk is debuting Grok, the first technology from his new AI company, XAI. Here we are with the X again. The company says it's modeled on The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's supposed to have some wit and a rebellious streak, because that's what you want in your AI. The prototype is in its early beta phase. It's only a small number of users will have access before a wider release to use the chatbot, but Grok is coming.
Grok. I don't know where he gets these names. It's not like it rolls off the tongue. It's not like it makes any sense. I don't, just like you said, Kim, I don't want my AI to have an attitude. Right?
It's going to have an attitude. It's going to have some wit and a rebellious streak.
Oh, Lord almighty. Whatever. Okay.
I mean, really?
Yeah, exactly.
You're AI. You do what I tell you to do when I tell you to do it, because I'm the human and you're not.
We do not want these things to be self-aware.
Have I already taken the upper hand with that, and my attitude is poor? I don't know.
So Eric says Heinlein's Grok term. Must you touch all my childhood pleasures? I don't know Grok. I apologize. Am I not up on my Grok? Are you, Kim?
It's a sci-fi. It's a sci-fi.
Oh, it's a sci-fi thing. Okay,
yeah,
that makes sense. Okay.
A new tour of the White House will be offered by the fall of 2024, which will immerse visitors in a high-tech experience. The White House Historical Association plans to open the doors to places regular tourists never get to see for themselves. The People's House is envisioned as an educational center that will put visitors inside the Oval Office and other off-limits locations like the Cabinet Room and the Green Room, but all done via technology. So you're not really going into the Green Room. You're not really going into the Oval.
Okay.
But you're going to have that experience, kind of.
I guess. That's okay. That might float somebody's boat, I guess.
Put on these glasses and pretend you're walking into the Oval Office. I don't know. This report is sponsored by you.
It is.
Yes. Grok has been around a while, says SF Tesla. I used to use it on an IBM something. That Grok.
Okay. So, it must be like a computer sci-fi lover type of thing. Okay. I'd never heard of it. I'm not in that realm.
It's a sci-fi thing. Yeah. And Harry says Grok is a term for understanding. Do you grok the code? I've heard my husband say the word before. That's why I'm like, I kind of know what it's some weird techie sci-fi thing for nerds. And
I thought it was Gronk, and that's just
I love you, nerds.
So.
Nerds make the world go round. This
go.
report is sponsored by you. Woohoo! Speaking of side hustles, we do depend on you. Find us at thenikkimedoroshow.com. The Patreon link, the PayPal link, the podcast link, the Nikki Medoro shop link. It's all at thenikkimedoroshow.com. I'm Kim McAllister on the Nikki Medoro Show.
Thank you, guys. And also, please click the thumbs up button to show your support of the show. Also, the super chat is live. Harry's already come in with a $5 donation and a happy Monday. So look for the $sign in the live chat box, and you too can support the show. We really do appreciate it. We take PayPal. We take everything. Just go to thenikkimedoroshow.com and please, please, please help support this crowd-funded show. Yeah, so many of you guys know. Now, Randy was like criticizing us because we always take shots at Musk for anything and everything he does. It's because he wants us to. He wants us to. There is zero doubt in my mind that Elon Musk says and does things for attention. And if you doubt me, just go over his past. So I think Randy, he likes it. I think he likes to say crazy things about like his AI or whatever, and then he gets a reaction from people. So we're just giving him what he wants, Randy. That's all we're actually doing. Let's see. Yeah, so many of you are well educated on the whole Grok thing. Gronk is for Gronkowski, who is with the Tampa Bay former Patriots. Yeah. I was thinking it was football. It's not football related. Okay, so again, in about 5 minutes or so, Alexandrea Ravenelle is going to be joining us. We'll be talking about side hustle gigs. A dry promotion, again, like I mentioned, is when you get the title, but you do not get a pay bump with it. How many of you in the comments would do that? How many of you would use it just so you could put it on your resume and perhaps get some sort of better job? You know, in our business, a lot of it is where you've been and what you've done with that job. I know people that have taken, you know, more work to get that executive producer or, I don't know, even in television, there's all these different levels of where you have to be to put something on your resume. And then they take that and they get a better job with hopefully better pay at another location. Lori had written in some types of work, titles can be money in a new job. Sometimes the dry promotion does not entail more work. It can be a type of correction to reflect the job you're already doing. The value varies. Yeah, I guess. I guess that's true. Sam says dry promotion is a good path to go into your next job and get the real appreciation you deserve.
I can see that.
Yeah, I think
Elise is like, without a pay raise, F you, call me old fashioned.
Yeah, there have been times, and it's just also our business, where all of a sudden things become your responsibility, even though they were never your responsibility before. I've said no to certain things. I know, like at KGO, recording spots, right? I could record spots or I can get endorsements. And I kept asking, I was like, well, why would you ever give me a paid endorsement if you already can get me to do it for free with no money, right? Like that was my way of thinking about it. And so I'd record some things, but I wouldn't record a lot of things because I was like, no, I'm going to lose money in that aspect.
Yeah.
Jim says, happens to me all the time. In fact, I'm a project manager without a pay for it, even though I have no PM certification or experience. They hope to keep me. It does not work. How's that conversation go though, right? It's, oh, we really appreciate you. You've done a fabulous job in this. We would love to move you up to X, Y, and Z job title.
We don't have the money to pay you right now.
Exactly.
But we really want to let you know that we appreciate your work.
Exactly.
So we're going to make you the director of yada, yada, blah, blah. And we are thinking that this is going to be awesome for your resume and really reflect your contribution to the company.
Yeah. And I love Calvin. Why do more work with no pay? Just pull a Santos and say you did. Develop your skill in lying. No, obviously that's tongue in cheek. But how many people have lied on their resume, right? I mean, how many people do these sorts of things?
God, I wouldn't be
hoping that they don't check.
What if you got caught, and how humiliating? I couldn't.
Okay, let's just be honest. Have you ever, and I'm not saying a flat out lie, like I was the news director of a radio station and you weren't,
but maybe
right?
You make it sound a little bit more important than it was, but
use flowery words, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. You make yourself sound a little more important, but you don't lie about it. You did really do the things that you're saying you did.
Right, exactly.
It just wasn't as exciting as it reads on paper,
Exactly. Heather makes an excellent point. She says, if I already had a foot out the door, I might consider it just to plump up my CV. That I'm 100% for, because then you're not doing the job forever. But if this was a company I wanted to stay and grow with, why would I do that? But then I would worry, well, then they're just going to find somebody else that will, right? I mean, I would be completely concerned that, oh my God, they're going to replace me. I'm not going to have a job. What am I going to do? It's definitely one of those where you have to think about it. Eric says, when they say we don't have the money to pay you right now, it means they will never give you a raise. All right. And so this brings us to our next topic, of course. And that is the proliferation and possible risk of having a side hustle. Now, I know some people, and we were talking about this at the beginning of the show, side hustle, is the only job you do. You've created a job for yourself. You're an entrepreneur, what have you. Other people, they need it to make more money. I have a certain number of hours in the day. I'm not doing anything between these hours. So why not get a side hustle? But can it benefit you? And are there risks in having a side hustle in the long term. Alexandrea Ravenelle is an assistant professor of sociology at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. She's written a book called Hustle and Gig, Struggling and Surviving in the Sharing Economy, and is now out with a new book. It's called Side Hustle Safety Net, How Vulnerable Workers Survive in Precarious Times. Alexandria, thank you so much for joining us on the Nikki Medoro Show.
Thanks for having me.
So, thank you, because I feel like right now, and I'm just going to bump up your microphone just a little bit. I feel like right now we're seeing a lot of people that may have started thinking that their side hustle was just that, but it's become their main gig. Can we talk first off on why you kind of wanted to look into this whole side hustle world? Has it become so much more ingrained in what people do for a living?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that we were talking about the 4-hour work week and everyone was just going to have to work 4 hours. And now we have the 4-hour work week, but it's because somebody's working 4 hours on Uber and 4 hours on Lyft and 4 hours doing TaskRabbit and maybe 8 hours doing Instacart. And so we have so many workers that are just piecing together a livelihood on all these different platforms. And then also we have this underemployment so that people want full-time work, but McDonald's is only going to give you 24 hours a week because they don't want you to qualify for health insurance or benefits.
Are people in your research and the people, and I know you've talked to so many people that do these side gigs with TaskRabbit and what have you. On one hand, I can imagine that there is this kind of daydream. I set my own hours. I get to work when I want to work. I get to set my own rates in many cases, right? Mm-hmm. How long do you think the honeymoon lasts with that kind of mentality?
Oh gosh, it really differs by platform, right? So for food delivery workers, they often say when they first join the platform for the first couple of days, they're getting all these delivery pings. It's great. They're making so much money. And then after about like a couple of weeks, they feel like they have been moved down in the algorithm. And so now they're not getting as many pings. For some other things, it seems like there's kind of a sweet spot, maybe like a month or two in, where you have some reviews, you have some work, and then oftentimes they change the algorithm, or maybe the algorithm just starts privileging other people or other activities ahead of what you're offering.
Is there a benefit to using something like a TaskRabbit or DoorDash versus just creating something on your own and selling that? Now, I imagine writing a book, even though that's not easy to do, or, an online course. I see a lot of that happening, right? You create this online course. It's kind of this passive income once you create it. Of course, there's the hustle of trying to promote it and things like that. What if someone was looking at you saying, the corporate world either doesn't want me or I don't want it. I want to create my own thing. Side hustle through a platform or on your own?
So oftentimes it seems really appealing to go through these platforms, right? There's a ready built audience. They've already set up all the payment processing and everything. But the problem with going through these platforms is that you very much tie your fate with the platform, and the platform doesn't care about you. So what happens is sometimes the platform goes out of business. And now the reputation you built up on the platform, that's gone. Good luck getting that. Good luck getting those clients unless you've exchanged contact information. In other cases, the platform just changes their terms of service. So what you thought was maybe a 15% commission rate is now a 25% or 30% commission rate. Mm. And so now what you think you're making, you're essentially getting a pay cut from one year to the next. So it can be very appealing, but it can also be very dangerous.
So now your newest book, and again, if you're just joining us, I'm speaking with Alexandrea Ravenelle, is called Side Hustle Safety Net, How Vulnerable Workers Survive Precarious Times. I would say COVID, post-COVID, we're living in precarious times. I will also say I think a lot of people had this kind of awakening of what do I want to do? How am I valued in the workplace given the debate over quote unquote essential workers? Mm-hmm. I'm essential. You don't want to pay me like I'm essential. Those sorts of debates people have been happening in recent years because of COVID. So first off, can someone that has a side gig create a safety net for themselves in a similar way in which they could if they worked for a traditional corporate job?
So that is a good question. So oftentimes workers say that this is their safety net, right? They're doing this side hustle. You're not going to get laid off from multiple jobs at the same time, barring another pandemic. So there, you don't have all your eggs in the same basket. But the big problem with that is if you do have, let's say, a corporate job or a stable W-2 job, and you lose that, but you still have your side hustle, now you are probably going to be denied from receiving unemployment assistance. And for a lot of workers, that unemployment assistance, it might not be a whole lot of money. It does depend by state, but that can be a really valuable source of income. That can be money that allows you to take time to reset, to rethink, to relax, to really re-envision a career, which is what I saw in Side Hustle Safety Net.
What is the best way of doing that? I mean, I'm sure a lot of people, when you're in high school, going to college, and you have to figure out what you want to do for the rest of your life. That's tough. I can imagine it's just as tough if you're an adult and you've done a certain job for so many years, and now either the job is gone or you were laid off and you have to figure out what's next. How do people figure out what's next? I mean, it seems stressful.
It is so stressful. Oh, we really don't help people to do this, and we can look throughout history. We've tried different things, right? Like, free community college classes. We've told people to go and network. We've had job retraining programs. We don't do a whole lot. And that's why unemployment is so crucial. Unemployment can give you sort of that stable income. Granted, not as much as you were making previously, but that's a whole nother discussion that I'm happy to have. But it can give you a chance to really think about what you want to do and to spend that time going out and networking, doing those informational interviews with people. Sometimes the gig work can allow you to try something out, but people really risk treating gig work like unemployment light, and they can get stuck in gig work if they spend too much time doing it.
So what advice do you have for people with the understanding that unemployment is not in any way, shape, or form, especially here in the very expensive Bay Area, going to replace your paycheck? Like, it is not anywhere close to it. There is definitely a cap, and yes, it helps. It's something, but it's not enough. I mean, what should people be doing? Should they just not do the gig work, or should they do it but just bank all that money or as much as they can?
So the problem with banking, are you suggesting in terms of if they lose their job, or
you have to, you want to obviously use the money to pay your bills, but if you can work a job and a side gig, understanding that it could go away, right? Like, people should people is a better question. Should people be using the money they get from their side gig if they're also doing another job, saving it as their safety net, or using it? Because I just can't imagine that you'll be able to survive on a side gig.
Right. Yeah, you can't survive on it. So yes, if you have a side gig, your best bet is to save that money, bank that money for a rainy day. You're going to need to bank a significant portion of it anyway to pay your tax liability, because oftentimes people are very surprised to see, oh, look, now I owe a lot of money to the IRS or to my state taxation. So that's definitely, if you're going to do gig work, treat it as a rainy day fund and use it as an additional way to save money, if at all possible. It's hard to do for some of these gig jobs. You have to pay for gas, wear and tear in your car, all that. But that is probably your best bet. And then don't spend too long doing it. Try to get out.
Yeah. What are some of the highs and lows of being a gig worker? I mean, what's great about it? What's not? I know I was reading one article where, some people were TaskRabbit were being propositioned. I mean, what are things that people need to keep in mind if they want to get a side hustle, or maybe just do it for a little bit, or just, they have extra time and they want to work a side gig?
Yeah. So in my first book, Hustle and Gig, I talk all about the risks of being a gig worker. It's the risk of, yes, sexual harassment, sexual assault, sexually uncomfortable experiences. I've interviewed workers who found themselves accidentally involved in criminal activity. They're literally covering drug dealers from one location to another and watching them get out and do their drug deals. People have been given tasks to mail amphetamines across international borders without customs paperwork. I mean, it is the gig economy in many ways still remains the Wild West. And even when platforms try to sort of put in restrictions on that type of behavior or shut down bad actors, the fact is that a lot of this is just moving very, very quickly. And so it's very hard to catch people who can set up new profiles and change all these things. So in general, people need to be really aware when they're walking into gig work, all the marketing about freedom and flexibility and be your own boss.
Right.
That's marketing. and you don't believe it when, it's a TV commercial or when it's a spam email coming into your email account, but somehow a tech company says it and people are willing to believe it.
Do you think that the proliferation of side gigs is going to change what the federal government does or states do to protect these types of workers?
So I am very optimistic that it will, possibly foolishly optimistic. But we are seeing, this gig work is not just platform-based, consumer market like Uber and TaskRabbit, but we're also seeing the rise of what I call shadow gig platforms. And these are gig platforms that are B2B, business to business. And so what they're doing is marketing their services to businesses, and people often don't know about them. So now your nurse in a nursing home might be a gig worker. The person delivering flowers for your local flower shop might be a gig worker. This person working in the restaurant who's making your food behind the scenes might be a gig worker. And they're all through these shadow gig platforms.
And so if I was going to go into gig work, what should I be looking for? I mean, are certain things that they should be offering, some sort of protections? Because I'm sure that, just like you mentioned, you don't know necessarily if the person delivering your flowers is a gig worker. I still want that worker to be protected, respected, working in a safe environment, having those sorts of things that I expect in the corporate world.
Right. So gig workers generally are 1099 workers, independent contractors, which means they are outside that social safety net. They don't get unemployment except through an act of Congress during COVID. They don't get access to family leave, sick leave. They don't get a minimum wage, except now in New York for some drivers. We see that they also don't have the same protections against, like, they don't get workers' comp if they get injured on the job, all of those things. So, there are some gig platforms, some platforms that are offering sort of part-time work with some flexible hours that do make their workers W-2, right? So very famously, Instacart a couple of years ago made their delivery workers 1099, but the ones who are actually doing grocery shopping in the store, those workers were W-2. We see the same thing with Amazon, right? Like some of their workers, the flex workers are 1099, and then you have the workers who are working in the Amazon warehouses, and those are W-2. So what we can do to sort of equalize this is if you have a gig worker and you have a chance to give them a tip them in cash, just to make sure that they are getting the tip. Because again, 1099 workers do not have a legal right to their tips. And we can also, ask, petition companies. We've seen some movement when the public actually gets together and says, wait a second, this isn't right. Why are you keeping the tips for these gig workers? Why aren't you treating people right? And if we put some public pressure, that can lead to the development of benefits. And also Congress can make changes.
Do you think, though, like giving 1099s or, independent contractors unemployment, family leave, will then just lead to the demise of these types of jobs? Because if they wanted to hire all these employees, they would.
We know that the 1099 status is essentially, it's a tax scheme for companies, right? It is a way for them to not have to pay anywhere from 20 to 40% of the cost of an employee. It's a major cost savings. So my hope is that either A, we move all these workers from 1099 to W-2, don't reinvent the wheel. We have a treatment, a worker classification that would do a lot of good things for these workers, or we should make it less appealing to make these workers 1099. So, all right, you want to have a bunch of 1099 workers? Now you have to pay their Social Security and Medicaid tax. Boom. Yeah. Oh, you want to have 1099 workers? Now you have to contribute into a portable benefits plan so they can access unemployment and they can access paid leave and retirement.
If you were going to give someone a piece of advice that was deciding whether or not to apply for a corporate job or try to make it on their own, is there ever a situation where you would be like, you know what, just do it on your own. It's going to pay out for you better than because the corporate world gets a lot of bad headlines as well. Wages are stagnant, underpaying. We were just talking about dry promotions where you get the title, but you don't get the pay bump. It's not as if the corporate world is treating their employees so much better, but they do have the unemployment, the family leave and things like that.
Yes. I've done both, right? I started my career off as W-2. Then I started doing a whole bunch of 1099 and what I call polyemployment, multiple employers simultaneously. And now I'm back into W-2. And I will tell you, there were times where I was grading papers as an adjunct online from a bar, from the beach, and being like, this is great. And inevitably, the bill comes due. The house holds the cards and they will always change the requirements, lay you off without any notice, not renew your contract. Essentially, it's rigged. And so, I will be the first to say that, yes, sometimes that W-2 employment is not great. We should probably plan a lot of big changes in society. But there is... Our system in the United States, at least, is definitely built on this idea of one worker, one job. And we tend to penalize people that don't follow that model, at least financially.
She's Andrea Ravenelle. There's her book, Side Hustle Safety Net. That's the latest book. You can also check out her other book, Hustle and Gig, Struggling and Surviving in the Sharing Economy. A lot to think about. I know we have a lot of side hustlers that watch this show. And so I know they're taking a lot of what you had to say to heart. I appreciate you coming on and thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Nikki.
All right. Thank you so much. Again, Alexandrea Ravenelle, her book, Side Hustle, Safety Net. Check it out. I don't know, Kim. I mean, it's one of those things where I can understand the daydream, right? I'm just going to be my own boss. I'm going to set my own hours.
Right.
I'm going to deliver, when I want to deliver. And then just like Alexandria was saying, it's all of a sudden this algorithm and this platform just screws you. And
it's not what you think it's going to be.
It's not what you think it's what it's going to be.
On the other hand, doing what I'm doing, I don't have to leave my house, right? So I don't have to drive to San Francisco every day.
True.
I get to be done at 2:00 and I get to go pick up my children from school and do all the after school stuff and help with homework and put them to bed and all these other things that are important to me. And if I was working in San Francisco, I wouldn't be able to do that. So there's give and take, am I getting a 401k? Am I making the money I was before? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
It's been a huge hit, but is it something? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Jesse, thank you so much for the 25 donation to our super chat. He says gig workers can be held personally liable if something goes wrong and can be sued because they are contractors, not employees.
Oh.
Smart move to form an LLC and get insurance to protect themselves.
Interesting.
That is very interesting. But, like you were also saying, Kim, you're able to do this job and be available to your kids. I will tell you, although I hate waking up. I hate waking up as early as I do when I work in San Francisco.
Yeah.
I would not be able to do any of the things I do with my kids if I didn't take that very, very early shift. Like it literally takes up your whole day to go to San Francisco. You know what I mean?
That's why you and I had the morning show, right?
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard to balance. And I'm jealous of Donald. I get to walk to work every day from home, 0.7 miles one way now. I mean,
nice.
I don't know what you do, Donald. Maybe you could tell me, maybe you mentioned it earlier, but that's amazing. I would love to be able to work right near where I live. I look at people, even in San Francisco, if they're able to afford it, live in San Francisco, walk to school, walk to the coffee shop. Yes, there's a give and take of living in a big city, but I would love to do something like that.
And Alexandria talked about, save that money, save the money that you get. But for a lot of people, the reason they have 3 jobs is because they need the money and they need it now. And that's what Vicky is saying. Yeah, talk about saving money while holding down several jobs is too much to ask for people. When you're trying to cobble together a living from, I don't know, say you're a DoorDash driver and you're a whatever driver that picks up your groceries and, and you're trying to pay your rent, and now you want me to actually save money too?
Yeah,
that's like
it's hard.
It's just existing, right?
Exactly. And the reason why I was asking that is if you don't have the safety net of the corporate world, the 401k, the whatever, if you're not feeding that, and you're only doing side gigs, at some point, hopefully you can cobble enough together to start to save for the future. Like I have friends that I worry about. I go, are you saving anything for retirement? And because of how expensive it is to live here, they're like, I am paying my bills. Like I'm paying rent or mortgage and my bills, and that's all I can do. And while I completely understand, especially since we've been laid off, it does keep me up at night sometimes worrying about, retirement's going to come. They don't give you a loan for retirement.
No.
You know what I mean? You can't take out a loan
you're
to
screwed,
retire.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Kim has always been a really good saver. Like I've always been impressed about how she handles her finances. She said, my side hustle is all the pet sitting I do. I am my own boss. I have to be disciplined enough to put away the money to contribute to my own IRA, since the side hustles don't provide a 401k.
I love the fact that you're a pet sitter, Kim, because one, I feel like that is is there any better job than not having to deal with people and still getting paid? I mean, it's just like because I've seen some of the pictures of some of the pets that Kim pet sits, and I'm just like, that would just be heaven. Absolutely heaven. And she enjoys it, right? If I was going to I enjoy doing this, right? I enjoy doing the show. I can't imagine doing a side hustle where I was being asked to break the law. I was being propositioned to do 3 that I didn't enjoy, right? But at the same time, not everybody has that ability. You have to take the jobs that you're being offered. And yeah, Tony, I agree. Kim, you see what you're doing as a side gig. I don't see what Kim's doing as a side gig because this is her only job.
Yes, but I don't work for a company anymore. I don't have the benefits, right? I don't.
Yeah, but
have
I
the
see a
vacation.
side gig. What's it on the side of? That's what I mean.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? Like this is it. And honestly, I will also say this is our career. It's not as if we are started to do something completely out of left field to make money. This is our job. Like
I'm doing what I've always been doing, just doing it in a different way.
Exactly. Yeah. So I kind of feel like it is
almost
your career. It's your career. Yes. Like, I just love being here. Thanks. Yeah. As a reminder, you could support the show by going to the Nikki Medoro Show.
Right?
It is tough, though. It is a hustle. It is a hustle.
What it is. Yes.
I definitely think that the whole hustling part of it it's true. And I love the fact that we continue to do it. I like the fact that we've hit our year anniversary. Yep. When you do research into this sort of thing, whether it's YouTube shows or a lot of side gigs where you are your own boss or whatever, it takes a couple of years to really get in the groove. But when you live in the Bay Area, it can't take a couple of years. You know what I mean? Yeah. Eric says retirement. Nobody can afford to retire. Not even Social Security will cover the expenses anymore. It's tough. It's really, really tough. Yeah. And so I don't know how many of you, I mean, I know Kim shared her story. Anybody else do what they consider a side hustle to make ends meet? I know Amy, Jim, there's a bunch of you that, either walk dogs or do other jobs. Donald says, I try and make it short. Wife and I run a business since 2002 from a office in Bishop Ranch, San Ramon. We're a 24-hour business that participates in the wholesale electricity market in California. Well, that's interesting. Okay. Thank you.
Jim is a dog walker and pet sitter as well.
I'm going to have 5 dogs in my house this Thanksgiving and cook. Don't worry about your floors being clean if you drop anything on the floor, I'm sure. That's awesome. And thank you, Louise, for the $4 super sticker. That's awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Let me throw out some good wishes to our friend Phineas in the chat.
Yeah, I saw that.
Going through some health challenges, and I just want to say that our heart is with you, and we hope that you feel better soon, and that everything works out okay for you.
Yeah,
really,
absolutely. I love our community, and it's a growing community, and I know all of your names and your handles and things like that. So yeah, our prayers and lots of good energy is floating your way, Phineas, to you. But yeah, I don't know. So just to put a final point on it. Side hustles are needed in a place like the Bay Area. I think that if you could, if I lived in, I'm not even going to say Idaho anymore because it's getting more expensive. Let's say Kansas. I don't even know what the cost of living is in Kansas. I'm going to assume it's a hell of a lot cheaper.
Pick a
right?
state you think is really cheap. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I'm going to say Kansas. So if I lived in Kansas, I can imagine that, and my husband was making decent money. I can imagine doing a side hustle just to get extra spending money. Right. But that's not the reality here. Right. The reality here in a place like the Bay Area is you're paying out the ass for a mortgage or for rent. And when prices go up for everything, we really, really feel it. It's an expensive place to live, plus the taxes. Now, again, I'm a California girl. I ain't moving. But I will say this, is that you really have to balance the quality of life now and in the future. And I know that's probably a kind of a harsh thing to say, but if you can't make ends meet now, right, then I really do think that a lot of people have to have a come to Jesus moment of what do I want my life to look like?
Yeah.
25 years from now, 40 years from now. You know, people are like, I can't retire. You're going to have to. Whether you like it or not, you may not be employable anymore. So these are just harsh realities that people have to come up with. You know what I don't want to be? Unless I enjoyed it fully. I don't want to be somebody like, and I would never work for Walmart, but the Walmart greeter that's 85 years old, right? I don't want to work at McDonald's when I'm 80 because I have to. I don't want that as my.
Nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that.
You know what else
I mean?
I don't want? I don't want to have the DoorDash person or the people picking up the groceries from Costco be bent and crooked and 80 years old trying to carry my groceries to the door because they can't afford to retire. Like, how sad is that? When I'm fully capable and able of doing it myself, but also they're doing it because they don't have enough money to be here and live and do what they need to do. So it's this conundrum of you want them to have the money to live and exist, but you don't want them to beat themselves down and shorten their life by having to do this work.
You just want there to be a better safety net for people. You just do. Oh, Lori, thank you so much. It's $45 donation from Daniel D. Thank you, Daniel. I'll be drinking a Kimikaze and a Medoro Mule per his request. Oh, and I have the new picture, Lori, by the way. Here's the new picture above the bar with the martini, the Kimikaze, and the Medoro Mule. So I really appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you to Daniel as well. He's been such a great supporter of the show. And I always appreciate, Lori, you helping him out and getting the donations to us, as they say. Yeah, it's hard. I wish everybody could just make ends meet easily. I wish we lived back in the day where one person could work one full-time job and raise a family, because that used to be the reality. It used to be. But you know what happens, in my opinion, is that those people did not vote and politicians did not pass legislation that allowed that to happen. Capitalism allowed people to exploit each other, right? You could sell your house, and I'm just going to say, you could sell your house for 20 times what you paid for it, and then look at the younger generation and say, why can't you afford it? Right? It's crazy. It's crazy, the mentality that is, it's so different among different generations nowadays. SJ Lolo says, I know so many people in their 50s who were laid off and can't get hired anywhere. They're panicking. The number of boomers, or, you know, even a little bit younger, that are going homeless because they can't afford it anymore. Because they're not hiring them. But then I just heard it's so many contradictory news headlines. And I heard that the birth rate is declining so much that we're going to have a lot of older workers and not enough younger workers in the future. Well, we're not in the future. We're in the now, right now. And right now it's tough. Yeah. Deidre says, my husband wants to retire in the next year. It terrifies me. Yeah. Interesting. Is it because you don't feel ready? I mean, is it because that he can't work or he doesn't want to work? I'm not going to retire until I can retire. Right. Like, right. You can't
but it's
just
always
decide.
Usually when you retire, you make enough to exist, but you're not going to make the same amount. Right. So it's scary to have that change in income to figure out if you can handle it. Like, how's this going to go? How's this going to work out? Yeah.
Brian says, retirement takes planning. Just retired at the end of July. The keys are paying off most of the debt I saved, enjoyed my working years. No mortgage. I'm loving my time. I love the no mortgage if you can swing it. Right. Yep. Not everybody can. You think buying let's just be honest, $1.5 million house in the Bay Area, unless you're making buku bucks, is going to be possible before you retire? I mean, I feel I can't even imagine
No.
I just can't even imagine having a mortgage on something
You would have
like
had
that.
to have bought it a while back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Under $1 million.
Yeah.
You would hope, right?
Because if you're in your 40s and you buy a 1 point whatever $1 million house, I mean, do you think that's going to be paid off in a 30-year mortgage?
I mean, it
Unless
matters how much you're making, right? I mean, if you're making a lot of money, if you make $300,000-$400,000 a year, I would hope
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
But then again, I mean, you're talking at least $10,000 a month. That just blows my mind.
That's crazy.
A $10,000 a month mortgage. It drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, "Oh, are you going to buy a house?" So when we moved into this house, Kim, it's so funny. We'll have people over. And they're like, "Oh, did you buy it?" And I laugh. I go, "No, I rent this house," and I know that renting comes with its risks, right? Because they can raise your rent. I mean, obviously, there's rules on how fast and how much they can raise it, but it's still nowhere close to what I would have to pay if I wanted to buy a house and live in this area. Now, I could leave this area, but I don't want to. My husband doesn't want to, so we make ends meet by renting. And it's just what we have to do. Jesse says the California Association of Realtors suggests as many as 1.2 million homes now sit vacant around California. And I know you guys bitch and moan about the building going on and the traffic and we need housing, not just to house people, but the hope is that it gets housing prices under control. But the affordability, what they consider affordable, is insane. There's a new housing development not too far from here. They're already advertising it on Zillow and stuff. The houses are starting at $3 million. Are you bleeping kidding me?
Who is buying
$3 million? No, that's ridiculous. It's an insult.
Don't you wonder? Like, I know it's the tech people, but really, I mean,
why do you have to put a 3 on it? Yeah, it's and my
I
whole
had to
thing
put
is,
a 3 on it.
why do you have to put a 3 on it? And this is my thing. Like, I understand wanting to sell your home for as much as you can get, right? But you know damn well you didn't pay that much for the house. So your mortgage is being paid off. Like I don't want to say it's greed because it's totally how the system works and I get it. And some people depend on it. And, I need to sell my house for that much because I'm going to retire and that's what I'm going to live on. Like I understand people's different reasons for that, but it pisses me off when flippers and they're totally entitled to it. I'm not hating on you, but it's like you're contributing to the unaffordability because you're going so high. I don't mind you making a profit. I don't even mind you making a significant profit, but it's getting gross. Okay. It's getting gross. And it's not sustainable. It's just gross. Like you don't buy. Okay. And I'm just going to use just made up numbers. I bought a house for $1 million. I painted it and I fixed up maybe the kitchen for a couple $100,000. Like I went all out and now I'm doubling the price of the home. I'm going to make $800,000 on it. Like, did you have to make that much? That's my question. And I know if you can, you would. Like, it's hard for people to give up that amount of money, but it's such a problem. It really is a problem. And I don't know what the solution to it is, except people deciding I'm not going to go that much. I'm not going to go that high. Because once one house in a neighborhood goes for that, then all of them can go for that, right? The comps. Look at the comps. Oh, that house down the street just sold for $800,000 more. Now my house automatically is worth that much more money. That's how it works.
We're already seeing people in San Francisco trying to sell their homes, and those homes are staying on the market longer.
Right.
So maybe have people had enough of this? Is it, I don't know.
Exactly. Now, Laura, you're right. I'm going to pay a mortgage on a house, but what I get for the rent is not astronomically more than what I pay in rent or pay in my mortgage. Okay. It's not like that. I have a property manager. They handle it. I'm not trying to gouge people. Like I'm really, really not. And again, the appreciation of my home in Sacramento is nowhere near what it is here in the Bay Area. I've had that house a little more than 10 years or whatever. I don't know, probably more than that, 15 years I've had it. I would think that my house, if it was here in the Bay Area, it'd be worth over $1 million. It is nowhere close to that. Okay.
Would you say that with your mortgage and your property taxes and your homeowner's insurance and the upkeep on the property that it's breaking even?
Yeah, I'm very close to breaking even. Very, very close to breaking even.
Okay.
I mean, I probably make a little bit more, but I am not rolling in the dough here. It is not a significant pad on my thing. And Kim knows this. We didn't have renters for several months. We just started, and we had renters move in a couple of months ago. I still haven't gotten full rent yet because of all the things we had to do to the house to get it ready for the renters and all that sort of stuff. So there is a cost of being a landlord. Am I looking at this house? I will say this. Am I looking to pay off this house as soon as possible? Because then it's just something that I own that has some passive income? Absolutely. Am I anywhere close to paying off the house? No, I am not. Rod says, I moved to Brook Trails in Willits. I bought a beautiful 3-bedroom, 1,700 square foot house with a spectacular view. I paid $394 3 years ago. Willits is a well-kept secret. $394 is a decent price for a home. I do know of Willits. I do not know much about Willits. What are the job prospects in Willits? I don't know. I'm just asking. But that's the other thing. I could move to Willits, but if there's no jobs for me, right? Like my husband's in HVAC. Is there no? Oh, I mean, HVAC's a great career, but is there enough HVAC work? Are they a union shop? Like these are things people have to keep in mind. It's fine to move to, and I'm not saying Willits is in the middle of nowhere, but it's not like the Bay Area, right?
It's kind of in the boonies. But if you could work in San Francisco 2 days a week and do like a hell of a long drive, and still make it work. And then there's people who have, not gig economy jobs, but regular tech jobs that can work from anywhere.
Yeah.
So if you're a remote worker, great.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things where you have to balance. Yes, I can get a great house with, okay, if it's only 2 days a week driving to San Francisco with a terrible commute, I can handle that. If it was 5 days a week, right? Because I need to be able to make money. That's a whole different thing. So yeah, Ron says, life is hard. I had a buy in Sac where I'm a landlord and I'm a tenant in the Bay. During the recession, my bank closed. I walk dogs and I'm afraid of dogs. I got some good laughs on my walks. Yeah. Can you imagine being afraid of dogs? No, that'd be like me, catching rats or something. No, thank you. Yeah, I respect people that hustle, right? I have such respect for people that sit down, do things they're afraid of, like dog walking or whatever, just to make ends meet. Shouldn't be so freaking hard, though. It really shouldn't. I think that there's so many hard workers out there that don't get the respect or the pay that they deserve. That sucks. That really sucks.
And this is something else people are doing.
Hold on. We both clicked it. There you
go. Gil says, I'm turning my garage into an ADU in San Jose. That should bring in about $1,700 a month. Wow.
So do you have somebody live in your garage, Kim?
Well, you can't just rent out a garage. You have to
Well, no, I know, but could you do it? Yeah,
you have to put a kitchen in there and a bathroom in there, and it would probably take a while till it paid for itself. I have too much stuff in my garage. If I threw away all the garage crap, then maybe. But then I'd feel bad that someone's living out in the garage. No.
Well, I mean, if it's nice, right?
It's always going to be a garage.
Well, I mean, what is a garage? If you insulate it and you put a kitchen in it and all that kind of stuff, then it's just a shelter. I mean,
I guess so. It just feels garagey to me.
Well, that's because you met it as a garage. These people are meeting it as an ADU, right? I know somebody that's let their kids move into the quote unquote main house, and they built an ADU in the backyard, and her and her husband live in that. And so they have their own space and all that kind of stuff. That's an idea, right? Yeah. I mean, we're going to, I think, we also have to go back to, and I have no problem with it as a parent with young kids, is multi-generational homes. Yeah. Like we need to start moving away, because it's just not feasible, especially in expensive places like this, that a sign of success is moving and getting your own house away from your family. Maybe it's just expanding the house that you live on, right? Mm-hmm. And everyone has their own space and you live together. It would solve a lot of problems too, right? Grandparents get to hopefully are well enough to take care of grandkids, allowing their kids to work outside the home. There's people watching each other, looking out for each other, more of a community around each other. This whole transition away from multi-generational housing could also be a problem, and maybe going back to it would solve a lot of problems. I know a lot of people saying, I'm not living with my parents or I'm not living with my in-laws, but it would help. It would help. Louise says it's greed. In my community, the seller sold me my house over 2 flippers willing to pay more. And most homeownership is generational. People are doing it to themselves for paying ridiculous prices. Oh, hands down. In certain aspects, capitalism should work as, a lot of people want something. And so they create more of it to get more people to buy it, right? And then it brings the cost down. But with housing, we're just not building enough. And that's why we have to build more.
Yeah.
Heather says, I can't imagine that though. Like, I've put up with your crap for 18 years and I want my house back. Time to go. Yeet. I'm saying if there was an ADU, like if my children, and not that I own this house, but let's say I own this house, right? And I had room in the backyard and they wanted to have their own little apartment or whatever in the back.
Right.
And and then it cuts me a deal. They pay less in rent. So we're kind of helping each other out. I don't see the problem with that. I also have a good relationship and hopefully will always have a good relationship with my kids. If you don't, you live in an abusive household and you need to get the hell out of Dodge. I totally understand that, Jim says most immigrants live 3 generations deep, and that means almost a 4-person income. Our old neighbors at our old rental house, I don't know how many people lived in that house, but it was a lot. And yeah, but I will tell you this, they were always out and about we lived in a cul-de-sac. They were always riding their bikes around. They always had barbecues. It always seemed like a party because there were a lot of people that lived in that house, but it is what it is. Like they made ends meet. And yeah, as Jim said, a 4-person income, you could be living pretty nice if you like the people you live with. So, that's easy. All right. Great conversation. And we'll continue to get your comments on it. Let's do some headlines with Kim. I also want to talk about the roads coming up. There is a proposal to make a lot more areas no right turn on reds. So a lot of cities across the country are considering banning right turns on red. So you can't just come to a stop and then go. We'll talk a little about it. I also want to ask you about your traffic pet peeves. Like what drives you nuts that you wish there was a ban on? Is it slow merging? Is it headlights? Is it what about it? You guys let me know in the comments of what drives you nuts on the road. And do you like the idea of no turn on red? I have one main concern about putting up these signs saying no right turn on red. And I'll tell you about that coming up. Click that thumbs up button. Show your support for the show. The super chat is live as well. And here's Kim with some headlines.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Yes, it is the Nikki Medoro Show. I'm Kim McAllister. Former President Trump is testifying in his civil fraud trial today. He blasted the trial when he arrived at the courtroom, saying it's an unfair situation, and he called it election interference. New York Attorney General Letitia James accusing Trump of inflating his net worth so that the Trump Organization could retain more favorable loans. Trump apparently also going after the New York AG and the judge in a rant on the stand. It's not so pretty when Trump is on the stand. He's full of
crap. That's why I can't imagine the amount of patience the judge has to have when dealing with someone like Donald Trump. I mean, I would, unless you just take a comedic aspect of the whole thing and just know that he's going to be the way he is. But I would just be so frustrated.
It's full on chaos on the stand. He apparently is saying everybody in the Trump Organization is responsible for identifying internal fraud. No, he was asked.
The buck doesn't stop with him, basically.
Yeah,
he's like, it's everyone else's fault but my own.
It's everybody. Yeah.
Yeah,
everybody.
Of course. And it's funny because he wants it both ways. He wants to say that my Trump name means something. It carries all of this value. And at the same time, he's not involved inherently in said business. It's ridiculous. I hope that they don't fall for it. I hope that oh God, I don't know how this is going to turn out, but
listen to this exchange.
Okay.
They just broke for lunch like 5 minutes ago. But okay. Kevin Wallace from the New York Attorney General's office told Donald Trump, "We'll get through this particular document much more quickly if you say, I don't know, while questioning him about a document addressing the cash flow for one of Trump's buildings that shows a financial loss. Trump then responded, I don't know. The property, 40 Wall Street is the property they're talking about. He also is leaning on the disclaimers in his financial statements as his defense. He's saying, I don't know of any that would have a material effect. Anything would be a little bit off, would be non-material, talking about whether he was aware of any other properties on the financial statements that were overstated. So it's going on. They've broken for lunch, but we're keeping our eye on what's happening with that.
Yeah. Jeez.
New York City's mayor is denying knowing the company at the heart of the federal probe into his campaign finances. Eric Adams saying he's unfamiliar with KSK Construction Group when asked point blank by reporters for Pix 11 if he knew or had ever worked with anyone from the Brooklyn-based construction company. The mayor did admit he's been in touch with his top fundraiser, Brianna Suggs, whose brownstone was raided last Thursday as part of the FBI's investigation into potential public corruption. So this is heating up with Mayor Eric Adams in New York. General Motors employees will get a 25% pay raise if the tentative deal with GM is ratified. United Auto Workers President Sean Fain saying that goes up to 33% when the accounting for inflation, and the maximum pay will rise to $42 an hour. Pay will go up by 11% in the first year of the contract. Fain says they have drastically decreased how long it takes UAW members to earn the top tier.
Wow.
Maybe you've heard of this story. Just so sad. There's a small town in Alabama where the mayor is dead, having taken his own life days after pictures of him allegedly wearing women's clothing and makeup were published by a conservative news site. F.L. Bubba Copeland was the mayor of Smith's Station in Alabama, a city of just over 5,000 people, about 80 miles east of Montgomery. He was also the pastor or preacher at some type of Baptist church.
Yeah.
The funeral services are planned for Thursday. This is the thing with people. They're in such denial. Like, you have to be a pastor of a church and be this upstanding person when really you're this other person, you know?
Well, yeah.
The two sides don't meet, but why? Like, why can't you just accept who you are? Why is it so awful and bad that you have to kill yourself over it? Or
apparently it came out he was outed without his permission. And so then he admitted it, at least according to the article I read. He says that it helps him reduce stress and that he's been doing it for years, that he dresses in women's clothing. Now, apparently he while he supported and would kind of chat on his social media feeds as this transgender person, he himself, or she, I don't know the pronouns that they want to use, did not go through any sort of medical transition.
Right.
But he was outed. And then of course, because, you know, he's a pastor and they're all that, he got so much hate. So,
well, yeah, it's very hypocritical.
Right.
I assume if you're with a Baptist church that you're hating on people that do anything different. But
that's so sad.
I would say, though, that there's a difference between a trans person and a cross-dresser.
Right.
And it sounds like he was a cross-dresser, which in the privacy of your own home, like whatever turns you on, whatever floats your boat, nothing wrong with that. You're not hurting anyone.
Well, I was confused on whether or not he was just a cross-dresser, because somebody was using the term transgender, but I don't know if that was just the headline. So yeah, again, why do you care? Who cares? As long as they're not hurting anybody, right? And apparently if he was a pastor, people loved him for that, but that's just totally overtaken the minute he puts on women's clothing. Your love and respect and all those sorts of things that it's such a thin thread that one thing and you totally banish this person, and this is the consequence of it. It's tragic.
Yeah. But it's always this when you hear someone who, like the current Speaker of the House, right, who's had legislation to ban homosexual sex,
right?
They're so angry over something other people do that really doesn't involve them.
Yeah.
That's when you have pause, because me think thou doth protest too much, right?
Well, maybe, but it's
why are you so upset over it? Is it because you're really upset with yourself?
Maybe. But no, what they'll say is because it goes against God's teachings.
Yeah.
Then let God sort it out. Like, who are you to judge? Because, you know, one of the other teachings of the Bible is do not judge, right?
Yeah.
Like, so it's
judge lest not ye be judged.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And it's so frustrating. But you make an excellent point. It's Why do other people care what other people are doing when they themselves are not involved in it or impacted by it at all? It was the same thing with gay marriage, right? The whole standing. Like, who is being hurt by this?
Nobody.
Who is being hurt? Nobody.
Keep your eyes on your own paper. Don't worry about it. Just focus on your own life.
Exactly.
Momentous has signed a contract for transportation and orbital delivery services. The San Jose-based commercial space company says a coming mission with Spanish firm AVS will launch on a SpaceX rocket sometime in June. It is the 6th commercial contract for Momentous since August.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Wired magazine is reportedly launching a politics vertical. According to Axios, the new offering from the technology publication will focus on the intersection of tech and politics. The potential content will launch on Wired's website and be accompanied by a newsletter.
I don't think that's going to make it. I don't think that's going to last. No, I mean, I feel like that's just everywhere, but okay, knock yourself out. If you want to do it, fine.
Daily marijuana use raises the risk of heart failure, according to 2 new studies. Presented at the American Heart Association Scientific Sessions in Philadelphia, the study says older adults who don't smoke tobacco but do use some marijuana are at higher risk of heart attack and stroke when hospitalized. Those who use the drug every day are 34% more likely to see heart failure. This according to the non-published studies. The AHA studies, AHA, American Heart Association, advises people not to smoke or vape any substance, including cannabis, because of potential heart and lung issues.
Well, I mean, what else are they going to say? I mean, I can imagine them saying that. That's disappointing, of course, but, it makes sense.
And lastly, just to let you know, today is National Nacho Day. Nacho.
I love some nachos.
Yeah.
That's it? Is there a special kind of nacho? Are there any nacho deals going on, Kim McAllister?
No nacho deals that I know.
Nacho for today.
I just wanted to make sure you were aware, because often, you hear what day it is and you must have it. So I wanted you to know it is Nacho Day. Nacho.
Let me say, I Googled it. Okay,
it's Nacho Day.
It's Nacho Day.
No, wait, it is your day, but it's Nacho Day.
So Chevy's is giving away a free Nachos Grande.
Oh,
Del Taco, if you're a reward member, you can get a free 3-layer queso nacho.
Oh.
Let's see. On the Border they're giving nachos half off. Taco John's, which I don't think we have a Taco John, they'll give you a free small super nachos. I do not see Taco Bell on this list, but they're really missing out. Although
Chevy's, you can get a free Chevy's.
Yeah, Chevy's. Chevy's will give it to you. Chips topped with chicken cheese, red sauce, black beans, sour cream, roasted corn salsa, and fresh guacamole. That's the nachos at Chevy's. Do not judge me. I will tell you the nachos I've eaten the most in my life are 7-Eleven nachos.
That you would eat any food under hot lights at 7-Eleven?
No, okay, let's just be honest, okay? I've never eaten any of their hot dogs that spin on the wheel or any. Listen to me. They just have the vat of the cheese, right? So they have the vat of the cheese.
God knows what's in the cheese vat. Like, what happens?
That's how you get nachos. If you go anywhere where they give you that nacho cheese sauce, it's in a vat. I don't give a crap where you are. It's the same vat of cheese. With jalapenos, when I was younger, not recently, I have not had nachos from 7-Eleven in more than a decade. I'm not lying. But back in the day, I used to live down the street from a 7-Eleven. Oh my God, I would eat them so many times. I mean, so many times. So don't judge me. Don't judge me. Yeah, Chris, they're nachos with cheese. Oh my God, I've torn through them.
7-Eleven nachos. We're lucky that I'm actually sitting here talking to you and that you haven't died of some type of horrible thing.
But I will also say this, nacho cheese, like that kind of fake, that is delicious. Nachos, when they try to come out with the like fancy cheese and like the sprinkled cheese, no. Nachos need nacho cheese. The bright orange, Velveeta looking cheese. That's what you need on nachos with jalapenos. Absolutely, hands down.
Nachos were invented by Ignacio Nacho Anaya, a maitre d' at a restaurant in Piedras Negras, Mexico. So his name was Nacho. That's why they call him nachos.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I love nachos though. So do you like nachos?
Yeah, nachos are great. Not
And you
7-Eleven
eat it with the nacho.
nachos.
You eat it with the nacho sauce though, not like any other kind of cheese.
No,
You will eat that cheese.
No, like my husband will make nachos, but he puts the cheddar cheese on top and it
See,
melts it in the
no.
microwave.
No, and then it all sticks together like one
It
big.
does stick
no,
together. Yeah.
no, that's not nachos.
No.
Am I wrong here,
no.
people? I need people. See, you could buy my
Not going to
friend.
7-Eleven.
My friend would buy it comes in a can of nacho cheese, and you heat it up like in a crock pot on low, and then you'll have it for parties.
God, what the hell's in that?
It's nacho cheese. It's not nacho cheese. It's my cheese. I'm sorry. Kim says, I got to disagree with you on this one. I only want the real cheese, not the glue. Then it's not nachos. Then it's not nachos. Then you're just having cheese and chips, melted cheese and chips.
That's not true because you can put other stuff on it. Like you could put, meat on it. You could put chicken on it. You could put sour cream. You could put olives, guacamole, all these other things and make it nachos, not just the cheese.
Yeah, no. Bull. You want to know why it's the cheese? Because it's called nacho cheese. That's what. It's called nacho cheese. Chris says, nachos are my favorite food. Any nachos are okay. All right. Well, it's National Nacho Day. Go get it. I'm going to have to, I don't know. Maybe I'm just going to go to 7-Eleven and just do it and just gross Kim out.
Don't eat food at 7-Eleven unless it's packaged and processed.
I love it. I love it. I won't eat a sandwich. I won't eat the hot dogs. No. Or any of the stuff that goes on the little wheel.
Sushi, fried chicken.
No. But the nachos, I'm being honest, I would eat a lot of it. Okay, let's talk. Well, there's the pet peeve of obviously 7-Eleven food for Kim. But what about roadway pet peeves? So a dramatic rise in accidents involving pedestrians and bicyclists have led to some crackdowns. In Washington, D.C. last year, they approved a right on red ban that takes effect in 2025. Chicago is trying to do the same thing. San Francisco leaders recently voted to do this ban on right on red, as well as Los Angeles, Seattle, and Denver. One person, who is this? One city leader says drivers should not have the option to decide for themselves when they think it's safe. People are busy, people are distracted, and that's what's led to this idea and kind of popularity of banning right turns on red lights. So what do you think? Heather's like, oh yay, even more traffic congestion.
Yeah.
Eric's like, my pet peeve is people who don't turn right on red. This is what Eric, that was going to be my thing. The problem with no right on red is usually the sign is only visible to the driver in the front. Right. So then what happens? Everyone behind them, and I've done this myself, starts laying on the friggin' horn, like, go. Yeah. There's nobody coming, go. And then they're like, I can't go because it's a no turn on red light. And so then it's just going to lead to more road rage, which I understand. Like I could deal with some honking or whatever if it keeps people safe. I will say this though. If there was ever a situation as a driver that concerns me the most is when I don't see a pedestrian on my right side and I'm turning right. Because sometimes like I'll be looking left and I'll be looking right and I'm looking at the road, right? I'm looking, is there a car coming here? Is there a car coming there? And what sometimes, and I'll admit this, sometimes I fail to do is to look all the way to my right and see, is anybody walking this way? And I tell my kids all the time, my son rides his bike to school. And if my daughter's walking with her friends, I go, eye contact with the driver and then still don't trust them unless they're fully stopped, unless they wave you on, unless you know that they see you, don't do it. Square says drivers that block the right turn lane are terrible. Now, and I don't know if this is popular in your area, but for instance, at a school by my house, they've now put these bumps or they'll put like a cement kind of median turn. So you have to go all the way out. Like you can't make that quick right anymore. Mm-hmm. So you have to kind of go into the intersection to make a right. So it makes you slow down type of thing. Anything that they could do to slow drivers down. But when they did it by this school, they just put these bumps in. I didn't realize that they were there. And so I went over them and it's fine. It's just like little speed bumps. But I was like, what the hell was that? And then I realized, oh, It's because they don't want me to make that quick right anymore. Natalie says Priuses never turn on their headlights. My Prius, I feel like automatically has the lights on, but maybe it's a different type of Prius. Rod says tailgating really bugs me. Yes, I don't know anybody that wants somebody up on their ass all the time. Joe Blow doesn't like roundabouts. I literally just went through a roundabout, but it was like a very shallow roundabout. Like, I don't know. It definitely slowed you down. The too big of ones where nobody knows if they're yielding or the other person yielding is awful. Phineas, Nikki, you should talk about how the freeways are converting all California roads into toll roads. We've had this conversation many times, Phineas, and we will continue to have this. Pisses me off because I already paid for the friggin' road, right? My tax dollars at work. You built the damn thing. Why do I got to pay to drive on it? Gets me really mad. Heather says, get the hell out of the left lane if you're not passing somebody. Or if you're not going, right? I mean, you could be in the left lane if there's nobody behind you and you're driving. If there's one person behind you, they may be tailgating. But if there's more than one person behind you, get out of that lane, right? Get out of that lane. Spencer says, don't ban right turns on reds. I get mad at getting cut off and super slow drivers. Yeah. Greg does not like motorcycle lane splitting.
Yeah.
I understand the need to split lanes. Like if there's congestion, like motorcycles really shouldn't idle like that, right? That's not how they're kind of made. My problem with the lane splitting is, God, they come up on you so quickly.
They do.
And I really try to keep my eye out for them. And it just freaks me out every time. I don't like loud motorcycles either, but I would much rather have you be loud so I know that you're coming than to split in front of me. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, 2 inches to the right. And I would have totally slammed into you. Let's see. Randy does not like road diets where they are eliminating lanes or right turn lanes and putting in bike lanes that don't get used.
Yeah.
Like what was just done on Saratoga Avenue in West San Jose. It's been done in Willow Glen.
They did it in Petaluma. They took away, we used to have 2 lanes out of town to the freeway exit. They now have 1 lane, and they turned 1 lane into parking, and then on the other side of parking is a bike lane. It's very strange the way they did it.
Yeah, they've done that on a couple of roads out here too. I find it to be dangerous because if you want to park right there, right, then you have to like kind of slow down in the moving traffic to do it if you're going to park, right? Because you're right next to the traffic. And while I do understand that it protects the bike lane, it's just a weird thing. I don't know. Yeah. It's just, it's definitely weird. Jim says, ban lazy left turn. You turn and are on the left side of the road because you did not go out far enough before turning. Okay. You turn and are on the left side of the road. Okay. SJ Lola, people in the left turn signal pocket who leave 27 feet between their car and the car in front of them so traffic backs up into the through traffic lane. I dislike that. Yes, indeed.
Oh, that's one of my pet peeves. It's like, gauge whether or not you have enough room through an intersection.
Yes.
In order to not block the street for the drivers coming when your light turns red.
Yes, exactly.
Don't back up traffic through the intersection. Wait,
stop
for a moment, see if you have enough room, and then proceed.
Well, but they don't care. And then I love how everyone's blind then. You know what I mean? Yeah. Everyone's blind. Like, I don't see everybody honking and wanting to get through. Like, you see us. Move. Harry says, my main complaint, drivers texting. Right turns on red should not be banned. Drivers shouldn't be idiots. They need to stop and look, not just slow down. But they don't. I found out on Halloween that one of our neighbors was walking with her kids and got hit by a car. I mean, they were okay, but it was the same type of thing. And now she and the neighbor that was telling me about it said they're done. They're done walking. They don't want to do it. Drivers don't look. And that's what the person was saying. That city leaders, like, drivers should not have the option to decide for themselves when they think it's safe because we are distracted.
Don't you think also that pedestrians have, I mean, I tell my kid this. Don't cross the street unless you make eye contact with the driver at the thing.
Exactly what I say. Exactly. You
make eye contact. You nod at each other. Like, I'm going to go. You want me to go? Don't go. If the guy if the person doesn't look at you, you're not going.
No, go. Just wait. And honestly, it could be quicker. Just let them go. Just let them go. You know what I mean? And I know the rule is like pedestrians have the right of way and crosswalks. I don't care. Go.
But people just step out in the middle of crosswalks without looking, or, you know, you're trusting that the driver is going to stop. You can't trust anybody. You can't trust that they're going to do what they're supposed to do.
Right. Exactly.
Just because that's the rules of the road. So you have to take your safety into your own hands.
SJ Lola does not like people who don't know how to merge onto freeways. My thought exactly. I hate, especially when there's like a long road leading up to getting on the freeway and they're still going like 30 miles per hour. I'm like, this is the area in which you are supposed to bring your speed up so that when you get on the freeway, you're at freeway speeds.
Yeah.
Nobody ever wants to freaking do that, it seems like. Let's see. I want to read some more of your guys's. Oh, we were talking about Trump right here. Jennifer says the first driver at a traffic light that is not paying 100% attention to when it is our turn to go. Yeah. I give it a count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Beep, beep. Go. Go, 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 go.
See, I had a friend who was a San Francisco police officer, and he said, always count slowly to 10, like 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. Gives time for anybody missing that light to not hit you before you go.
Right, exactly. Al Anonymous says, how about bikers that never stop at stop signs? Yeah, because wasn't it San
Drives
Francisco?
me insane.
They was debating that, like, oh, we should just let bikers go through because it's quicker. Yeah, quicker for you to get hit by a car. Yeah. Honestly, because if you expect everyone, I expect everyone to follow the same rules of the road, right? Yeah. I totally expect that. I also don't like too much tinting on cars, even though I understand like in some areas it's legal and in some areas it's not. Like if you came from Arizona, they allow a lot of tinting because it's so hot in the car. But I don't like that. Luis says insisting on right way equals great equals tombstone. Here lies Joe Blow. He had the right of way. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. The National Motorist Association calls it a fallacy to assume blanket bans would, though, make the roads safer. They cited an upcoming study that analyzed California crash data from 2011 to 2019. Found drivers turning right on red accounted for only about 1 pedestrian death and less than 1 bicycle death statewide every 2 years. So there is this idea of like, oh, that's the problem, but it's not actually leading to accidents. But I want to know how many close calls are there, right? Now, I don't like the idea of bans. I really don't. You should just follow the rules of the road and stop and look and everything like that. Heather says, when you come up to an intersection and it's very clearly the other person's turn to go, but then they try to wave you on, they're not being nice. They're making things confusing and potentially dangerous. That's my husband's pet peeve. He hates it. He hates when people, like at a 4-way stop, and no one knows whose turn it is to go. And he always like points at the person, like shakes his hand.
You go. No,
like,
you're
go. Supposed to go. Yeah. It's so funny. Yeah. Spencer though says, I almost got hit. Never again after I almost got hit. Yeah. It's, Eric says, I still remember driving once and the driver behind me honked a half second before the light actually turned green.
Wow.
The thing is, and I said this last time we were talking about driving. I mean, we drive these cars that can kill people. You have to be careful. Yeah. You have to be careful. Yeah, Heather, I hate that. You go. No, you go. No, you go. Everybody, you know what happens if I'm ever stuck in that? I will be honest. If somebody's like, you go, and I'm like, then I'm just going. I'm getting out of this conversation because nobody knows. Exactly. Spencer says a San Francisco bus nearly killed me trying to make a stop. I never have rode a bike since. Wow, that sucks. So, I mean, a right turn on red ban. We'll see. Now, right turn on red's never been allowed across most of New York City, where large signs alert Manhattan's visitors that the practice is prohibited. But it was the default policy practically everywhere else in the U.S. until last year's vote in Washington, D.C. D.C. is bracing for blowback from drivers, especially if the city also allows what's called an Idaho stop, where cyclists are permitted to go through a red light after stopping to make sure the coast is clear. That was what San Francisco was considering. But then everyone was like, no, thank you. 4-way stops. No one knows how 4-way stops work. It's so difficult. It really, really is. So we'll see. I don't know if it's going to make much of a difference. I do know that if it's a no right turn on red light, the sign needs to be high enough so everybody knows. Oh, do we have some Trump stuff?
This is just a little blip. This is what he did on his way out of the courtroom.
Is this today?
Lunch.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Trump, how's it going in there?
All right. So Donald Trump, they're making that motion.
Yeah. His lawyers are like, shut the F up. Stop
Yeah.
talking. Oh, that
he
is
did the
so
zip.
funny.
He did the zip lip. Yeah.
That is
Anyway,
so
I just wanted to show you that.
freaking funny. I love that. I absolutely. Oh, I love that so much. Yeah, we'll see. We're gonna keep our eye on it. I mean, he needs to shut the hell up. Good for him. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
stop talking. Stop talking. You're a freaking moron if you keep talking. Let's see. Okay, well, we'll see where this goes if the ban happens. I think, everyone has their own little pet peeves about things. And but we got to keep things safer for people. Okay, so Kim had said earlier that it's Nacho Day, right?
Nacho.
Day. You know what else is starting today? I don't know if you saw this, and I don't know how many people would do this. I was tempted, but then I looked at the times, and I'm not going later on tonight. AMC is offering $5 movie tickets starting today, but it's for a new program called Screen Unseen. So all you know about the movie you bought a $5 ticket for is the rating, but you do not know what movie you are going to watch.
No.
Not even for $5?
No. Because it's a waste of $5 if it's a horror movie and I get in there and it's a slasher flick, then I've got to get up and walk out. What a waste of time and money. That's what I was going to say.
Like, would you walk out even though you paid for?
Absolutely.
Well, PG-13.
I don't want to see that blood and gore. There's no way I'm sitting through that.
Well, then you just don't get an R-rated movie. Like you can get a PG-13 movie.
There's a lot of R-rated movies that I do want to see.
That's true. All right, so you'll only know the rating ahead of time. Otherwise, you'll have no idea which movie you'll be seeing. The first film in the program that starts today at 7 is PG-13. Then they, of course, want you to use hashtags and blah, 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 blah.
Could it be any movie or does it have to be a new release?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. It doesn't say. Okay, so there's one movie officially out this month that might fit into the criteria for a new PG-13, and that is Taylor Swift's Eras Tour. I think people would lose their minds if they did not want to see the Taylor Swift Eras movie.
Imagine if Taylor Swift's one of those, you either love her or you hate her, right?
I think there's somewhere
imagine
in the
if you were like not a Swiftie and you got
and then everyone starts
the
screaming and yelling in the movie theater.
Yeah,
I don't think so. Then there's movies slated for November release that could be ripe for this include The Marvels, which comes out the 10th of this month, and then the movie I really want to see, the new Hunger Games prequel, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. So you could see like a really great movie for $5 though. It's quite the gamble. I mean,
I'm not really wanting to take the risk. I'd rather pay the extra $5 and know exactly where I'm going and what I'm going to do.
You're not a living on the edge kind of girl, I'm sensing.
You know what's interesting? I am a living on the edge kind of girl. Like I'm a, want to go camping tonight? Excellent. Let's pack it up and go. Like
You're not going camping.
Well, I'm not going camping, but I'm just saying, like, I am a live by the edge of the seat kind of person.
Except camping.
I don't need to have a plan. But I need to have a plan when I'm going to the movies. You can tell me in 10 minutes, hey, let's go to the movies. Okay.
Right. What are we going to say?
Right. Tell me that I want to go see something I want to see, other I'm not going.
Yeah, I mean, Maud, I don't feel like $5 is that much money. Come on, that's sketchy even for $5. It's a PG-13 movie. It has to be in theaters. They're not taking something new out or like something old and showing it.
And I might go camping if it's glamping.
You're so funny. I have known you long enough to know that if I called you and said, we're going camping and it was camping, you're not a live on your seat kind of girl. I'm going to say yes.
You might be surprised.
If it was a tent and you had to dig a hole.
I had to dig a hole?
To potty.
Wait,
to go to the potty.
Oh, like camping, like there's no bathrooms?
Yes.
No thanks. I'm out. You mean dig a hole? I'm like, are we going to bury somebody? What's happening? Are we going camping to dispose of a body?
Nope, just your poop.
No. There has to be restrooms. What is this, not a state park?
And Kim will not go to, like, if I called you up, Kim, and I said, we're going on a road trip, but we're staying in like a Motel 6.
No.
So this living on the edge chick.
I'll go with you, but you've got to like at least have it be a Days Inn. Like at least bump it up a little bit. Come on, Motel 6. There's fleas in there and roaches.
I could tell you stories.
Please.
See, Kim and myself are so different. I once went to, I think I told
I'd rather
this story.
stay home. No, thank you.
You should be really polite about saying no. I once went to a motel.
Yeah.
Okay. The first motel we stopped at that we were going to stay at had a bunch of mattresses out front that like looked like they had blood on it. So we're like, we are not staying here, but there was nowhere else like really available. And it was like the middle of the night. So we went to this motel and it seemed clean, but you opened up the bathroom door and in the jam, like the door jam, there was a roach that was smashed. And then there was a weed roach.
A what? A weed roach?
Like if you smoke a joint, the last of it is called a roach. And so it was together smashed in the door jam. Yeah, no.
It's like someone left art behind for you.
Yes, exactly.
A roach on a roach.
Oh, look at Jim. He'd rather give the $5 to the Nikki Medoro Show. I love you,
nice.
Jim. Thank you.
Here's my argument about roaches, and Jim, that you're awesome. Thank you. My argument about that is if there's one, there's more.
Oh God, yes. Don't put your bags down.
And if there's a roach in the door jam, then there's likely bed bugs.
Yes.
Oh, and God. So then I'm laying there thinking, even if there's not bed bugs, there's roaches. What's that crawling? Did that feel like something tickling my foot? What?
Yeah, no.
What's happening?
No,
I can't do it. Like I'm not even. Like I'd rather sleep in the car. No.
Anonymous, Nikki and Kim doing the Pacific Coast Trail could be a TV show. Now I am making myself sound like I'm a roughing it type of girl. I love camping, like real camping.
I'd be bitching the whole way.
But if you put me, if you put like Naked and Afraid, even Survivor, I wouldn't do. Like I would apply for Survivor just to be that person that's like, I'm out. I'm not doing it. I'm cold. It's uncomfortable. There's a bug up my butt, and I'm not doing it. But if I'm camping and I'm prepared with my stuff, I'll totally do it.
Yeah.
I like camping. I like real camping. I don't mind if I have to dig a hole. Or I would prefer a bathroom, of course. I've done that before.
God.
I've camped like that before. But yeah, no. But I had to make fun of Kim because she's like, I'm go with the flow. Like, no. I know enough about you.
What I'm saying is like, I don't need to have a plan. Like
if there is a plan, it better include X, Y,
I'm a
and Z.
spur of the moment kind of person. Now, where we're going on the spur of the moment, that's up for debate. Just saying.
I don't know if you can be both. I'm up for everything with caveats. I live by the seat of my pants, but where's that seat going to be? And are
no
there bugs?
Motel 6.
No Motel 6.
Yeah, no. No.
I adore you. All right. One final thing before, and again, Kim is filling in for Mark Thompson and then doing the after party live. So go join her there. Did you see what we're not going to be seeing anytime soon? And I don't think, you haven't done the story. So guess who has been injured? Who had an ACL tear?
Was it one of your football people?
No.
Oh.
Mark Zuckerberg tore his ACL while training for that MMA fight. You know how he's an MMA fighter?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So apparently
got a little too overzealous in the jiu-jitsu ring.
Yeah. He tore he says, I tore my ACL sparring and just got out of surgery to replace it. Ooh. Which means he got a cadaver ACL. I know about replacing stuff like that. Yeah. So he's like, I was training for a competitive MMA fight early next year. Now, this was not the Elon Musk thing. Okay. That's what I first saw. I was like, is this the Elon Musk like cage match? No, it's not that. He's like, I'm still looking forward to doing it after I recover. And then he showed pictures of him being in the hospital or whatever. He revealed in a Facebook post this past May that he competed in his first jiu-jitsu tournament and won a gold and silver medal. So he's kind of a badass with the mixed martial arts. But yeah, it is a cadaver. I have a cadaver ACL.
You do?
My second.
You have a dead person part in
That's
your
how they get it. If you have a replacement ACL, who do you think they get it from? They're not getting it from somebody alive.
No, they didn't grow it.
No, I think and you know what else? Which just really made me sad it's usually a young person because they're not putting old people ACLs in you. So it was really, really like I wrote a letter to to the organ donation place and they can give it to the person whose organ was donated.
Yeah.
And I did that, even though it was just an ACL. It wasn't like eyeballs or a heart or something like that. Somebody died. Somebody died to give it to me. And so I did write a note. I never heard back, which is fine. But yeah, I do. I haven't. And you know what? I'll also say this. I don't know if it was the best choice for me, but if you participate in mixed martial arts, I'm sure it does. My knee has never been the same since the surgery. I'm just going to say not at all. But hopefully Mark Zuckerberg will recover. And no, I don't think that the cage match with Elon Musk is going to happen. He and Elon will never fight, Eric says. Elon's a blowhard. Elon just says whatever he can say, like I said earlier, for attention.
Looks like something happened in Berkeley this morning.
I know.
Did you hear about this? So looks like there was a car burglary in process and the police came out and they ended up shooting someone while they were investigating it. And the person didn't survive. So
oh, no.
That happened in Berkeley. Yeah.
Yeah. I was hearing something about there being a shooting. Crazy out there. And then there was also, I don't know if you got to the San Jose thing, the racist text messages scandal that's happening. Apparently, you guys might remember there was this guy, this young guy. He had taken down someone with a gun inside La Victoria in downtown San Jose. Okay. And he's taken the guy out and had the gun that he had taken from the person and walked out and was then shot by police. Well, apparently the cop that shot him doesn't like black people and has the text messages to prove it. Right. I will say this, and you know, we don't have very much time, but I did want to say this. I am extremely proud of how quickly he was booted. Chief Mata and our Mayor Mahan both came out with statements saying 0 tolerance, you're out. None of this hemming, hawing, going around. Nope, you're out. You're absolutely out. We know the text message. Now, the question is, who was he sending them to? What was their response? But every time there is these bad cop stories, what do I always say? I want to hear from the good people on the department. I want to be, I want the good cops to raise their voices and say, screw that dude. We don't need people like that on our department. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we need to hear. That's what happened here. And we'll see where this goes. But yeah, the guy, I guess he was playing football. He was hoping to go to the NFL. He's still recovering. He was shot several times. He lived, which is good. But now they're suing in light of these racist text messages, which is like, geez, like, just one, I wish that people wouldn't feel this way about other human beings, right? Like, you just shouldn't be a racist jerk. But two, are you so friggin' stupid that you're going to put it in writing? That you really think that there's no way that any of these text messages are going to be coming out? Of course they are.
Especially after scandal after scandal where they have come out in other officers with other departments. So
Exactly.
Not that, I'm not saying that, I mean, I'm glad that a person that feels that way is caught, right? Because that's the last person we want with a gun.
Exactly.
Pointing it at someone else of color. So that's great. But how stupid are you?
Exactly. Spencer says it's a shame you get these bad cops who tarnish all cops. Exactly. And that's why I want to hear from the good cops. I want them to say, yo, this guy does not represent us. He's awful. I'm glad he's not next to me. Blah, blah, blah. Eric says the rest of the cops are covering the butt of the bad cops, which makes them not so good cops. Well, you know, Chief Mata, who's the San Jose police chief, he came straight out, put out a message once the news broke, and he's out, which is what we need to happen, right? If these are your texts and they're tied to you, I don't need to hem and haw about it. There doesn't need to be this long, drawn out thing. Now, of course, the lawsuit is a whole different thing. But no, you're out. 0 tolerance. Stop it. You could feel internally any way you want to. We can't police that. You put it in writing, you send it to people, and then you end up shooting a guy who's actually a hero. Yeah. There should be consequences to that. And absolutely, they were disgusting, Rod. They were really gross. And there was like some text where he's like, they should be bowing down to me. And you can't have a gun in the wild, wild west, as if San Jose is that. It's crazy. So I'm really glad he's not on the force anymore. And hopefully he will face some consequences. All right. That's our show. We'll be back tomorrow. Stay right here, though. Kim is filling in for Mark Thompson. And then, of course, she's partying up with John Daly. But before we do that, I do have some thank yous to give out. Harry started us off with the $5 donation to our super chat. Yeah, we hate changing our clocks. Good luck with that. Jesse, $25 during our gig worker talk. Thank you so much, Jesse, for the $25 donation.
Really
Louise, $4 super sticker. Love it so very much. Lori and Daniel D. Thank you. Make sure you go to the Red Jack Saloon. You can buy a Kamikaze, a Medoro Mule, a Martini, and some of the proceeds support this show. So check out the Red Jack Saloon, and thank you so much for that donation, Daniel. And Jim, giving the $5 to the Nikki Medoro Show. Instead of that movie, not living on the edge like Kim McAllister, not doing that at all. If you guys could please make sure you subscribe to the show, hit the bell so you don't miss a minute, and please sign up to be a Medorable. Sign up for our monthly Patreon. Just go to thenikkimedoroshow.com. We're 100% crowdfunded, and we depend on you to keep the show going. So we appreciate you guys. We love you. Have a great rest of your day. Stay right here. Join Kim at the Mark Thompson Show, and we'll talk tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're sprout like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.